Marquez, Carlos King. And the whole situation about him allegedly begging for his job back after blasting Carlos not too long ago? The way this has played out has me shaking my head because the back and forth from Marquez has been nothing short of confusing. And when you mix in other cast members like Tisha, Ken, and the state of the show right now, you can see why people are glued to this mess. So watch until the very end, because by the time we finish, you'll see why some people think Marquez's return might actually happen, and why others think it's the worst idea possible. Now, let's start from the beginning. Marquez had been very vocal in the past about his fallout with the show, and with Carlos King in particular. He even tagged Carlos online, saying he never checked in, never bothered to hear his side of the story, and didn't do any proper research on who was cast. This all came after that alleged physical altercation with Ken on the show, which led to Marquez being told to leave. At the time, Marquez posted a strong statement calling out the lies. Disrespect, disregard for his children, his family, his friends, and his legacy. He said it was nasty work, and even told Carlos that if he really cared about unifying Black families and showcasing Black excellence, he should reconsider the way he operates before it becomes his downfall. And then there was that line, "Call me if you truly care about my mental health." That one line told me at the time that Marquez wasn't completely shutting the door, that maybe, deep down, he was leaving a little crack open for a possible reconciliation if the right conversation happened. Fast forward to now, and it looks like that crack in the door might have swung all the way open. Recently, Marquez took to his Instagram story to issue an apology to Carlos, acknowledging his previous actions and saying that after speaking with him, he realized he had an emotional reaction at the time. He said he's been doing the work, going to counseling, focusing on healing, working on his mental health, and taking care of his family. He even thanked Carlos for the conversation they had that night, saying it stuck with him and helped him see things from a different perspective. And then he dropped the line that made everybody stop scrolling. "Maybe one day you will get me back on the show so I can tell my story the right way this time." To top it off, he said, "I am the storyline." Now, tell me that isn't a bold statement. Here's where it gets tricky. 1 minute, Marquez is saying production did him wrong, treated him like he was disposable, and ignored his mental health. He went on interviews, remember the one with Queen Sheba? Where he doubled down on how shady he thought everything was. But now, he's basically saying, "Hey, I'm sorry. I've grown, and I want to come back." That's what's confusing. Was he truly set up? Or was that just an excuse to save face after some of the wild things we saw him do? Which version of Marquez are we supposed to believe? The victim who was wronged, or the man who now wants another? Chance on the same platform, he said, was toxic for him. And let's be real here, the timing is interesting. The show isn't exactly at its peak right now. Viewers have been saying it feels like the energy is off this season, and the drama isn't hitting the same. Tisha's storyline, for example, seems to be running thin. So if you ask me, I wouldn't be shocked if producers thought, why not bring Marquez back? He'll stir the pot and give us something to work with. From a production standpoint, it makes sense. From a personal growth standpoint for Marquez, that's where it gets questionable. Because if you truly believe a space damaged your mental health, should you really go back into it? Marquez also has this pattern that's hard to ignore. He'll apologize and seem like he's taking accountability, but then he'll do something that makes it seem like he hasn't changed much at all. It's almost like he can't help doubling down. It's why people are side-eyeing this sudden change of heart. Is this about healing, or is this about getting back on TV, no matter the cost? Because the way he said, "I am the storyline," feels less like humility and more like a sales pitch to get producers interested again. On the other hand, I'll give him this. If he's truly going to counseling, working on his emotional control, making real progress, that's a positive step. And to be fair, I've said before that I thought he needed therapy. Because some of the behaviors we saw, like how quickly he could be pushed to extremes, showed he was struggling to manage his emotions. If he's actually putting in the work, then good for him. But my concern is whether this show is the healthiest place for him to be, especially knowing how intense filming can get and how messy things can turn in a heartbeat. And speaking of messy, imagine him returning and having to interact with Ken again. That's a recipe for fireworks. Throw in Tisha, who might just latch onto this as her new storyline. And you've got potential chaos that producers would love, but might not be great for anyone's mental health. Fans are already debating online about whether this would be good for the show or just another short-lived drama that fizzles out once the cameras stop rolling. Some are saying it's hypocritical for Marquez to want back in after dragging production so hard, while others think everyone deserves a second chance, especially if they've made efforts to change. The truth is, two things can be true at the same time. Marquez could have been treated unfairly and also made his own mistakes that contributed to how things went down. But what's going to matter now is whether people buy this new, humble version of him or see it as nothing more than a calculated move to get back in front of the cameras. Personally, I think the producers might just give him that shot. Not because they believe in his redemption arc, but because they know the ratings could use a boost. And if there's one thing reality TV loves, it's a comeback story with built-in drama. So now it's a waiting game. Will Carlos and the team take the bait? Will Marquez get that call to come back? And if he does, will he really tell his story the right way this time? Or will history repeat itself? Keep watching until the end of this season because I have a feeling this is far from over. And if you thought the drama was dying down, well, let's just say things might be heating up again sooner than we think, right? Let's dig even deeper into this, because honestly, the more you look at Marquez's recent moves, the more you start to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes.